They will tell you to be kind. They will praise your patience, your silence, your ability to forgive. But they will never tell you what that kindness quietly costs you. From childhood, you were trained to believe that being nice would keep you safe. That if you followed the rules, respected others, and avoided conflict, life would reward you. But the world does not run on fairness. And the moment you step into reality, you begin to feel something is wrong. At first, it is subtle. You notice that the loud ones get heard, the aggressive ones get chosen, and the ones who bend too much are expected to keep bending. You start to see a pattern. The person who speaks last is ignored. The person who says yes too often is taken for granted. The person who avoids confrontation becomes invisible. Nice people are not weak by nature. They are often disciplined, patient, and empathetic. But in a world that runs on power, those traits are easily exploited when they are not protected by strength. You learn early that people smile when you agree. They relax when you do not challenge them. They feel comfortable when you make yourself smaller, and comfort is dangerous. Because once people grow comfortable with your silence, they begin to expect it. Once they grow comfortable with your forgiveness, they plan on it. Once they grow comfortable with your kindness, they start to use it. This is the first truth no one warns you about. Niceness is not a shield. It is a signal. It tells the world you are unlikely to resist, unlikely to push back, unlikely to make things difficult. And human nature responds to signals, not intentions. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He watched leaders fall, not because they were evil, but because they were soft when softness was punished. He saw men with good hearts lose their power to men with sharper minds. He once warned that a person who tries to be good in every situation will be destroyed by those who are not good. Not because goodness is wrong, but because goodness without awareness is fragile. Think about everyday life. At work, the one who does more is often given more work, not more respect. The one who stays late is expected to stay late again. The one who never complains becomes the one everyone leans on. And when that person finally speaks up, the room goes quiet, not with respect, with surprise, because people had already decided who they were. This is how niceness becomes a trap. You believe you are building trust. Others believe you are setting a standard of what they can take. You begin to feel tired in a way sleep cannot fix. A quiet exhaustion from being agreeable, patient, understanding, from swallowing words, from choosing peace while others choose advantage. And the hardest part is this. When you are nice, people rarely tell you the truth about how they see you. They smile. They accept. They benefit. But respect stays distant. Power does not come from being liked. It comes from being taken seriously. And seriousness is born when people know there are consequences. This is not about becoming cruel. Cruelty is emotional. It lashes out. It seeks to hurt. Ruthlessness, in its pure form, is calm. It is clarity. It is knowing when to say no without apology, knowing when silence is strength and when silence is surrender. The awakening begins when you stop asking, "How can I be good?" and start asking, "How does the world actually work?" You see that people respect boundaries more than generosity. They respect certainty more than kindness. They respect strength more than intention. You begin to notice how quickly the world adjusts when you do. When you stop over-explaining, people listen harder. When you stop chasing approval, people grow curious. When you stop being endlessly available, your presence gains weight. This realization hurts, because it feels like betrayal by the lessons you were taught, and sometimes by yourself. You wanted to believe that being good was enough. But goodness without force is a request, and the world does not run on requests. The awakening is not loud. It is a quiet moment where you admit the truth, that much of what you were taught was designed to make you polite, not powerful, predictable, not respected. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This chapter is not an attack on kindness. It is a warning against blindness. Because the world does not reward intention, it responds to behavior. The moment you understand that niceness is not protection, you step out of illusion, and the moment illusion breaks, real learning begins. This chapter is not telling you to become cruel, it is telling you to stop being blind. Because the moment you realize niceness is not protection, your real education begins. Once you stop playing nice, the world changes its face, not all at once. Not loudly, but slowly, like a room growing cold when the fire goes out. At first, you think nothing is different. You still speak calmly. You still act with control. You simply stop giving more than you should. And that is when the reactions begin. People who once leaned on you start to pull away. Not because you hurt them, but because you stopped making their life easier. Your silence feels heavier than your words ever did. This is the descent no one talks about. Because ruthlessness does not announce itself with violence or anger. It begins with restraint, with saying no, with choosing yourself when the world expects sacrifice. And the moment you do, you learn a hard truth. Many people did not love you. They loved the access they had to you. When you were agreeable, you were useful. When you were patient, you were safe to ignore. When you were kind, you were predictable. But now you are not. Now you hesitate before agreeing. Now you question motives. Now you leave rooms early instead of overstaying. And suddenly, people feel uneasy around you. They call you distant. They call you cold. They say you've changed. What they really mean is this: you no longer serve the role they assigned you. Machiavelli understood this part well. He knew that power isolates before it protects, because most people do not want you strong. They want you familiar. Ruthlessness forces you to see relationships clearly, not through emotion, but through behavior. You notice who respects your boundaries and who pushes them, who listens when you speak and who only waits to speak over you, who stays when you stop giving and who disappears. This awareness hurts, because some of the bonds you thought were solid begin to crack. Old friendships feel thin. Old loyalties feel one-sided. Old smiles feel rehearsed. And in this phase, loneliness arrives. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind you feel in rooms full of people. The kind that sits with you when you realize you are thinking differently now, seeing differently. You can no longer pretend. You can no longer unsee what you see. Ruthlessness costs comfort. It costs approval. It costs the illusion that being liked is the same as being respected. There will be moments when you question yourself, when you wonder if this path is worth it, if it would be easier to soften again. And it would be easier, but easier is what made you invisible in the first place. This descent teaches discipline. You learn to control your reactions, to stop explaining yourself to people who already decided how they see you. You learn that not every battle deserves your energy. Not every insult deserves a reply. Not every misunderstanding deserves clarity. Silence becomes a weapon. Distance becomes protection. Machiavelli once warned that men are quick to betray when it serves them, not always out of cruelty, often out of fear or self-interest. And now you see it. You see how quickly people shift when power shifts, how loyalty bends when comfort is threatened, how respect fades when it was never real. This is the cost of ruthlessness. You lose illusions. You lose false security. You lose the warmth of shallow approval, but you gain something else. Clarity. You begin to trust patterns over promises, actions over words, consistency over charm. You stop chasing closeness. You let people come to you or drift away. And while the loneliness remains, it changes shape. It becomes quieter, cleaner, more honest. You start building an inner structure that does not rely on applause, a sense of self that does not collapse when ignored, a calm that does not need validation. This is the descent, where you shed what was never yours, where you stand alone long enough to hear your own thoughts clearly, where you stop confusing kindness with weakness and strength with cruelty. Ruthlessness does not harden your heart. It sharpens your awareness. It teaches you that power is not loud. It is steady. It does not beg to be seen. And once you accept the cost, the fear begins to fade. This chapter is not meant to glorify isolation. It is meant to prepare you for it. Because strength often grows in quiet places, away from noise and approval. Ruthlessness will take comfort from you before it gives clarity. But clarity is what allows you to stand firm when pressure comes. Ruthlessness will cost you illusions. It will strip away false bonds and shallow loyalty. The descent may feel lonely, but it reveals truth. And what remains after illusion falls is real, strong enough to endure pressure. By the time you reach mastery, the world has already tested you. It has tried to pull you back into the comfort you left behind. It has whispered doubts, encouraged weakness, and reminded you of what you lost. But mastery is not about proving anything to the world. It is about proving everything to yourself. The mastered man moves differently. Not faster, not louder, but with precision, every choice deliberate, every word measured, every action intentional. Ruthlessness has been refined, no longer an emotional reaction, no longer a defense against disappointment or exploitation. It has become a tool of parity, control, and foresight. The world has not changed. People still lie, they still betray. They still take advantage of those who show weakness. What has changed is you. You no longer chase approval. You no longer over-explain. You no longer bend your morals for the comfort of others. You have learned to act when necessary and to wait when patience serves you better. The mastered man understands timing. He does not strike at every provocation. He does not respond to every insult. He waits. He watches. And he acts when the moment carries meaning. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler does at once what the fool does at last. Mastery is this same principle applied to life. It is seeing the outcome before the action. It is moving with the certainty of cause and effect. It is using restraint as a form of power rather than softening it. This mastery is not without sacrifice. Loneliness lingers, yes, but it is quieter now. You are no longer waiting for validation. You are no longer seeking connection at the cost of strength. And in that silence, you find something most people never will: freedom. Freedom from fear of judgment. Freedom from the chains of expectation. Freedom from the constant need to explain, to appease, to perform. You no longer need to dominate others to feel in control. Control begins within. Control of impulses, of emotions, of desires. When you have mastered yourself, the world cannot unbalance you. Ruthlessness becomes an instrument of strategy, not cruelty. You know when to let people walk into discomfort, when to withhold what they seek, when to act decisively, and when to remain still. Every interaction becomes deliberate, every alliance calculated, every decision measured against what you truly want, not what others expect from you. You notice how the weak try to draw you into drama, the unprepared attempt to test your boundaries. But now, you do not react. You respond. You conserve energy. You channel force only where it matters. People may still call you cold. They may accuse you of being distant. But their judgment no longer matters. Mastery is knowing that respect is earned quietly, through consistency and strength, not through popularity or applause. Even power itself becomes less about what you can take and more about what you can maintain. You no longer chase opportunities. You create them. And when they come, you strike with calm certainty, not with panic or desperation. This stage of mastery also teaches patience. You understand that most people cannot see what you see. That most people operate in reaction while you operate in intention. That most people are trapped in illusion while you navigate truth. You begin to understand the paradox of power. The stronger you are, the less you need to show it. The more control you have, the less you feel the need to act. The more discipline you have, the freer you become, and freedom is the ultimate mastery. Because once you are free from the fear of others, free from the need to justify yourself, Free from the expectation of approval, you can act as you choose. You can live according to reality, not illusion. At this point, ruthlessness is no longer about taking. It is about knowing. Knowing the patterns of people, the rules of life, and the limits of influence. Knowing when to hold back and when to act. Knowing that real power is invisible, unannounced, unstoppable. Mastery does not demand recognition. It does not scream. It does not need applause. It simply exists. And the world, for all its noise, eventually bends to consistency, strength, and awareness. The mastered man has no enemies, only obstacles. And obstacles are temporary, meant to be observed, understood, and overcome. Mastery is not cruelty. It is clarity, discipline, and control. Ruthlessness becomes a tool, not a temperament. You no longer act from emotion, but from strategy. And once you master power in this way, you no longer need to prove it to anyone. Respect follows naturally, not because it is demanded, but because it is earned. Ruthlessness is a tool, not an identity. Use it with discipline, restraint, and intelligence. Mastery is achieved when you control yourself first and let the world respond. At this stage, power is quiet, deliberate, and unstoppable. And once you master it, you no longer need to prove it.